to avoid the breaking point. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. So a little while back, I saw one of my friends, and I asked her how she was doing, and she said not very well. And she went on to talk about how she and her husband were going through a breakup and that it had reached a breaking point. And unfortunately, there were things that happened in that relationship that were pretty dramatic for her and possibly for him. I don't know. But it reached a breaking point. So how can you avoid reaching a breaking point? A breaking point can come on a job. Maybe you've just had a terrible boss and it's come to the point and one day you just get up and make a fuss and then you walk off the job. Now you don't have a job. Perhaps you could have avoided that by begin to look for another job in its place. And you would have had time to shift from one job to another. Now you're without a job and no other job to be found, perhaps for a while. And perhaps you could have avoided that breaking point by planning ahead. Perhaps my friend could have realized and sat down with her husband and said, hey, this is not going to work. We've tried everything and it's not going to work. Instead, it came to a breaking point. It could be in a person's health, their health. Maybe they've not taken good care of their body and now they're reaching a breaking point where their body's breaking down and, they have to deal with other kinds of issues that they wouldn't have had to deal with had they not reached that breaking point. Maybe someone has reached a breaking point financially where their finances are now where they're going to, come take their home or their car or something like that because, they didn't plan ahead. What could they have done to avoid that breaking point? Often people wait to a breaking point before they make the change. And sometimes it's a little bit too late. You still have to make the changes and hopefully in the most positive way that you can. And yet in many situations, you wouldn't have had to deal with the breaking point and all that the fallout from it had you planned ahead and maybe figured out how to handle things differently. So to avoid a breaking point. So perhaps my friend could have just said to her husband, let's part ways friendship-wise. Perhaps the person on the job could have handled things differently in some way with the boss that wasn't very nice or the coworkers that weren't very nice. Perhaps they just should have begun looking for a new job without having walked out on that one. Perhaps someone could change their financial habits so that they don't lose their car or their home or anything else. Perhaps someone could change their health habits so they don't reach a breaking point health-wise. So avoid reaching a breaking point by making the necessary changes beforehand so that you can avoid a breaking point. From my house to yours, and God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.